Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode, and today we are looking at Skyland 2K versus Vivid Landscapes. As I said, this is the 2K version of Skyland, which is nearly a gigabyte, so it is probably the best version of Skyland you can use. Both these mods are being used with the graphics pack. So Skyland is compatible with the graphics pack as far as I can tell. With that being said, let's jump straight in. So we'll start with Skyland. As you can see, there is a nice amount of detail there on the dirt. You can see the individual pebbles and stuff like that. And we're about to bring in Vivid Landscapes, and you can see there seems to be a lot more definition on the actual soil there. We see little mounds of soil and it seems a bit more 3D. The roads also add a retexture. We get like these flat smooth cobblestones which don't look as nice as Skyland ones, but I think the dirt wins out on Vivid Landscapes. And here we're moving on to some rocks, and Skyland's got this nice dried dead grass type texture here, as you can see, but the seams between the textures doesn't seem all that great. We get a sudden change of texture between the rocks and the dirt, whereas with Vivid Landscapes that's not so easily to spot, mainly because the actual texture is a bit more dirty, shall we say. You can see all rocks and bits of soil mixed in with the rocks, and that's a theme that you're gonna see throughout this video, is the Vivid Landscapes textures always seem a bit more dirty, a bit more murky, darker. Here we've got Skyland, and you can see again we got that grass texture with some snow over the top, and then some soil just leading up to that rock in the background. The rocks themselves are vastly different between the two mods, although in this clip it's not so easy to spot. Again, you can see there the Vivid Landscapes has gone for a more dirtier looking texture, but I'd have to say it does look a bit more detailed to me over the Skyland one. And here we're just outside Lakeview Manor, and we've got some nice grass texture there leading into some dried soil. On the whole, detail's not too bad. I would say that it does look a little flat, but when we bring in Vivid Landscapes, you'll see that it is slightly nicer. Again, the variations between the textures on Vivid Landscapes does seem to be a bit more varied than you get with Skyland. We've got that grass texture like the dried hay leading into the soil, and again Skyland's going with that grass texture, which is nice because there is a lot more greenery with Skyland than over Vivid Landscapes, I feel. Although I think the times have moved on a little bit, and Skyland is kind of an older mod now, and you can see there with Vivid Landscapes that there is a hell of a lot more detail in that texture. Again, maybe not as colourful and as nice as the green grass of Skyland, but it is a lot more detailed, and I think that is going to be a winning point for a lot of people. And it's the same again with this screen, bit more greenery there on Skyland, but I do feel that Vivid Landscapes does has a lot more detail, even if it's not as immediately as attractive as Skyland. We're going to take a quick look at the snow. As you can see, Skyland doesn't do a bad job. The texture does look a little blocky. I just want you to pay attention to that little crest of snow there in the middle of the screen, just where the light changes from the bright sunlight to the shadow as we go into vivid landscapes here. And there you can just see a world of difference. The texture looks more detailed because it's smoother, and also the light transition between that light area to the shadow is a lot smoother with vivid landscapes. When it comes to the snow, I think vivid landscapes hands down wins, no matter which mod is your favourite mod. And we got a quick look at snow or ice on rocks. Again, Skyland does a nice job. A bit smoother this time round than vivid weather, as you'll see in a moment, but again, vivid landscapes does seem to have a bit more definition, even if it's not as immediately as attractive as Skyland's textures. It does look a bit murky compared to Skyland, but it definitely looks better in my opinion. There just seems to be a lot more detail in there because you've got the high contrast between the dark and the light parts of the texture. Moving on to the ice, Skyland does a very good job. I like the way you can see the ripples in the ice there. It looks like, you know, it's being weathered by the weather. There's not too much to say about these two screens, as you'll see now. Vivid Landscapes also does a very good job of the texture, so it's difficult to pick a winner between those two because they both do a good job with the ice. And here Skyland goes back to showing off a bit more greenery over Vivid Landscapes. As you can see, all the greenery is gone from Vivid Landscapes. However, the texture does look a bit more detailed, and to me that looks better overall. And here we've actually got a reversal of roles. The Skyland mod has gone for a dirtier looking mossy dirt, and also you should look at the rocks in the background because the rocks are vastly different between the two mods. Skyland goes with a smoother, more grey rock texture, although Vivid Weathers doesn't look Vivid Landscapes doesn't look as nice. It is a lot more detailed, and as you can see there, it's actually Vivid Landscapes this time round that goes with the more green, although I'm really not a fan of that texture at all. It seriously just does not do it for me. It doesn't look that detailed at all. And we got another quick screen of some of the grass. Not too bad with Skyland, nice amount of detail there. The contrast again isn't the best. It all seems to like level out if you look at that dirt in the background. It's just kind of one colour, although you can see some light definition in it. It's not as vivid as Vivid Landscapes. Although Vivid Landscapes texture here is a bit too much. It's just kind of a green yellow mess, and I think this is one of the occasions where having too much detail in your texture can be a detriment to it. It kind of looks like someone's took a photograph from a digital camera and just slapped it on there. There's even parts where you can see toadstools in the middle of the grass. I'm not sure if I've captured any of it here, and they're just flat. Even though they're taken at a perspective, it's just kind of flat, so it kind of loses the illusion there because you can see the toadstool is just kind of squashed into the grass. We're going to take a quick look at some of the caves. Skyland says that it doesn't really change anything that wasn't man-made, so there's not really a point of looking at any of the Draga caves or Dwemer ruins, although Vivid Landscapes does do a great job with those. You can check that out on my Vivid Landscape video. And again, Vivid Landscape there's just got a bit more definition in the dirt. You can see the light balance on it. It's very nice. Inside the caves, you can see Skyland doesn't do a bad job at all. Nice amount of detail on the dirt there, and the wall isn't too bad. Although Vivid Landscapes got that better definition again, you got the contrast between the way the light is bouncing on the texture. You can see that it appears to be more 3D, which is then in turn makes it look a lot more detailed, which is the most important thing, I suppose. And here we're looking at the cave walls. I think Skyland wins on this one. That's a very nice texture, nice amount of detail there. Doesn't get overwhelming with any of the colours or anything like that. Whereas Vivid Landscapes, when we bring that in, kind of loses some of the detail. It's not as nice as Skyland's, that's all I can say about it really. It looks a bit more waxy, and I think Skyland definitely wins on the cave walls there. So if I was to impose my opinion on you, I would definitely go with Vivid Landscapes over Skyland. Although Skyland does look a bit nicer, a bit greener than Vivid Landscapes, I think Vivid Landscapes just had a lot more detail in the textures and a bit more varied textures over Skyland as well. So that's it for another video, guys. If you want to request a video, then go ahead and drop your request in the comments and I'll certainly consider covering it. And before I go, I've just got a bonus clip of a dragon killing itself by landing too hard. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.